Hey there, it's Christian from 7Gamer Network, and it's been a little while since we've had a video, but I want to have a look today at some of the builds that I'm excited about that are going to be possible with the new Empire at War set that is coming out shortly as we post this video. Sometime in the next month or so we're expecting. Now, we've got probably about a third of the set spoilt now, so we're looking at a good flavour of what the set's going to be about, with a third of those cards being revealed. Now, of course, there is a caveat to this. With 2/3 of the set still unknown, there could be a lot of stuff in there that could really change the potential builds that we're looking at and what actually turns out to be good or competitive. But these are some of the ones that I've actually had a chance to proxy up and have a play with, and I just wanted to share some of my insights from it and why I'm excited about it, because I have to say I am really excited about this Empire at War set. There's some really cool looking cards coming up in the set, and I think part of that comes from the fact that their supports, I mean, they have definitely pushed the power level on supports. There's no two ways about it. I will be really surprised if there aren't some competitive decks that are using supports and that's the main sort of theme of them. If there aren't decks that feature heavily with supports in at least tier 2, I'd be really surprised, and I certainly won't be surprised if there are some tier 1 decks that use support. However, and we'll have a see from some of the testing that I've done, I think you may also see some of those sort of faster decks that want to roll well and finish you off quickly. They're also going to get a bit of a boost, and we'll talk about one build that I can see maybe being a possibility with that. Anyway, so 3 different builds, character sets that I'm excited to explore more of. And the first one I'm going to start off with involves one of my favourite characters anyway, so that's Unkar. And so we're going to have Elite Unkar, Sienna Ree, I think that's how we pronounce her name, and Balatik. You could possibly have Royal Guard last, but I'm going to talk about it if it's Balatik in there. But I think there's a whole number of ways you could go with a build like this. And really the fundamental idea of the build is to take advantage of Sienna's action ability. Now her die is quite nice. I mean, it's got some good stuff on there. The main thing is, of course, it's got those 2/1 resource sides and some shootiness on it. But when we combine that with the resource making potential of Unkar, either from his own dice, because of course he's got the +2 on there, which pairs very nicely with Ree's 2/1 black resource sides on there, I feel like that combination pairing will be able to create a lot of resources just through their dice rolls or through Unkar's ability that can then power Ree's action ability, which is of course to ready a support. So I've been having great fun with a build that has cards like Slave 1 in it, which I always thought was a strong card. When Spirit of Rebellion came out, I was trying to put Slave 1 in lots of things. There just wasn't quite enough really support for it, possibly in a sort of an Unkar Jabba deck, but wasn't really quite there. In a deck where you can use it twice in a round, or maybe even more, this becomes really strong potential burst, because you could have this happen. You roll out Unkar, you use his ability, you hit, let's say we're going to see a Millennium Falcon, we're going to see launch bays, we're going to see ATSTs, we're going to see big cards being played in this set. I think Unkar's stock only increases with this set. There's more big cards being able to come out. There's more decks that can create lots of resources. Unkar's only getting better, guys. And so you hit 5 resources. You've already got 2. You're up to 7 resources. You get another resource with Ree. You're on to 8 resources. And if this is the second round, and the first round you got out slave 1, which is pretty realistic, you can see there that you've got the potential to use slave 1 5 times in a round. And that's not going to happen infrequently. Hitting a big card with Unkar's ability, and who knows, you could have other upgrades and be using other things to use Unkar's ability. And you can have super bursty rounds. And let's face it, if you can go with slave 1 twice in one round, that's really great. Being able to do it potentially 3 times or 4 times, it starts getting a bit scary, especially when you've got a little bit of focus around, say on Unkar's dice, or maybe some of the ways of manipulating those results. So there's a lot of power in getting lots of resources and using Ree's ability to untap supports such as Slave 1, and there's plenty of others we could be using as well, of course. If you're using the Battlefield Weapons Factory Alpha, like I've been using in my testing, I tell you what, a tie for just 2 resources feels a lot better. It's a lot nicer to have out on the board when it only costs you 2. Or the new 80 DP for only 2. That's a pretty scary dice to be on the table costing only 2 resources. And in a deck that can create lots of resources, it can really snowball very quickly. And one of the other little things that I'm really excited about EAW, as I was with Spirit of Rebellion and any new set that comes out, is it allows us to look at old cards and suddenly realise, oh my goodness, that's going to be really good now. And for instance, the card Firepower, which I've never used, but if we can be using it on a red vehicle die, well, that makes things a lot more exciting. So, being able to turn the tie die into basically a slave 1 die, because it becomes a 2, 3 and a 4 for 1, which is what slave 1 is, and it only costs you 2 to get it in, and it's not unique. All these things start seeming like, wow, that's just become really good value. So, and then of course we've got Balatik. I've stuck Balatik on there because with all these resources, it's fairly easy for us to get some cheap upgrades onto him, to get DH-17, to get Holdout Blaster, to get Jetpack, to get those kind of upgrades on. And in fact, we've just had spoilt the weapons cache, which is a 2-cost upgrade, which has two special sides on it, which is play a weapon for 2 less, which is going to make all those cards I just mentioned free to play onto Balatik. And if you've got your supports doing all the damage and Balatik, it's very easy for him to be killing off, or for you to be killing off characters, and for Balatik to be untapping again. And there's also, of course, the card Leadership, which I'm about to talk a lot more about, but you could play Leadership onto Sienna and get another activation out of Balatik, even if you don't manage to get a kill off. There's a lot of ways to build resources and use your resources in a deck like this. And I think where the fun and the challenge is going to be is there are so many options and ways you could build a deck like that. And how you tweak it, I think we could be exploring that for weeks and weeks and weeks to come. As in, do we have supports also that generate resources like Supply Line? Or is Unkar and Sienna Ree with data pads enough? We'll find out. It's a build I'm really excited to explore. Now, another one I'm really stoked about to explore, because I'm a massive Vader fan, I love Vader, and this is Elite Vader and Sienna Ree again. Now, we are not using Sienna Ree for her ability in this. She is there to enable Vader to go crazy, because of course we can play Leadership on Sienna Ree. Leadership allows us to untap Vader and use him more than once in a round. Now, months ago, when Spirit of Rebellion came out early on, I did a build with Vader and Royal Guard, and in there I used Price of Failure. I didn't quite really clock just how good that really was, and so I could have built around that build much more. And then even you can go back and look in the streaming videos I did. I often shied away from using it, or I didn't really build Vader up enough to get the most out of being able to use him twice in a round, which is amazing. And in fact, recently, Zach Bunn has been using from Team Covenant. He's been using a Elite Vader guard build and going crazy with Price of Failure and doing really well with it, just because you've got to be a bit balls to the wall with it. Now, a build that allows you to have leadership in is ridiculous, because you could do that multiple times. We can use that leadership. We can have 2 leaderships going off. I mean, you could even in one round play leadership and then Price of Failure and have Vader go 3 times in a round. So the build I'm looking at and have been having a practice with really has been about just tooling up Vader. Because we're playing with Sienna Ree, we get access to some amazing cards. We get access to the old Riot Baton, which is a stupidly good card with Vader. It's so much damage, and of course they're going to be trying to kill Vader first, so it's got the redeploy, so that can help you to just push through the damage when and if they kill Vader and you're left with Sienna Ree. Red with Vader also allows us to play Tactical Mastery. We lost Fast Hands Vader, so Tactical Mastery, and it feels right, it feels good, it doesn't feel broken, but it's pretty scary when you get Vader going with a stun baton and a lightsaber on him, and you get to Tactical Mastery, just roll him out and do what you like, and then get to go again with leadership or Price of Failure and go with that again. It's really, really strong, guys. I've been playing with it quite a lot. I mean, Vader with just a lightsaber on and being able to go twice in a round can be devastating. I mean, that could be 9 damage from one roll. Maybe even, potentially even more if you're using like Kylo Ren's lightsaber and you hit the special. I mean, there is stupid things that can happen with it. And when you can leadership that and you can Price of Failure it, which we've been able to do, but that leadership, I feel, really changes things. And playing Vader with red really opens up some good possibilities. Another thing I think that might have made this build even better is the fact that they've also printed lightsaber pull. And when you're really looking to either get the stun baton or a lightsaber onto Vader, that lightsaber pull, early game, great. I'll go and get whatever lightsaber I want, and I've got my tooled up Vader. That's all you need. Vader with that 1 upgrade. And then, of course, the build I was using, lots of 0s and 1s, lots of force strikes, and maybe lightsaber throws, or now you will die, or I mean, you can even use. I love using force speed and use the force together, because that essentially makes another copy of Force Strike, a better copy of Force Strike in your deck, because it gives you another action. It's not just resolve that die. And of course, when we're using some upgrades like lightsabers, we're going to see some plus sides, which just makes that use the Force that little bit better when combined with Force Speed. So I think that, is that going to be competitive? Who knows? I'm looking to see. I'm excited to see what better deck builders than me do with it, and whether it is something that could be competitive. Is Sienna Ree going to be enough if they kill off your Vader early, or they get some lucky rolls? She probably isn't, unless you've managed to get in a lightsaber and stun baton, and that's redeployed. So anyway, finally, another build I'm excited about. A pretty straightforward one this is. So it's a 4-character build, so you could go maybe the old Bala, Night Sister, 2 Stormtroopers with Hate, and just having to play with Hate. It's a really interesting card. It's got redeploy on it, and that's why I really like it, because with a build like that, we can we can make lots of resources. We can drudge work and things like that. We can endless. So we kind of don't mind damaging our characters with something like Hate, and then them dying, because hate's just going to bounce around, and then we bring a stormtrooper back, and then we can redeploy hate to there, and the hate can just keep on going. You've got loads of activations. You can activate it multiple times in a turn if you've got characters all close to death, and you activate on the one and he dies, and then it moves to the next one, and then you can activate that and it's moving around. I mean, you can do a lot of damage, and that's going to build up very, very quickly in a deck like that. And of course, if you've got things like, it's a rainbow deck, so we should be able to get shields together and be playing out some shields. That's going to just get absorbed. The hate's going to be absorbed into the shields. That's really cool. And of course, if we've got resources, well, we've got a lot of fun supports that we can use to help us get more resources, to, hey, get some big resources, get some big supports out there, so that yes, we're going to have characters dying off, but if we've then got sonic cannons attacking, and we kind of don't mind tapping the Night Sister or tapping a Stormtrooper to be able to get a 6 damage for 3 resources, when we don't have to use the resources, we just tap a Stormtrooper, we got 4 characters. I think there's, again, a lot of exciting potential in a build like that. So there we have it. There's 3 builds that I mean, it's just 3. There's probably 33 builds altogether that I'd be really excited to look at. And I think probably one of the best things about having a new set released is that it looks like they're going to do 24 new characters every time. And so the potential builds and the potential things that we can do, oh guys, it's just only going to get richer and more diverse, and more of an opportunity for us to put our own stamp on it, which is something I always really love. Anyway, until Empire at War comes out, keep enjoying your Destiny.